welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR, and we're here to talk about all the things going on in the Big Ten. It's the preview episode, and we have exactly one game to preview because the regular season is over. It's finally here. It's over. The transfer portal is going crazy, and it's not even open yet, and guys are already entering and signing, and I don't even know what's going on, but we're doing our best to cover it. We're not going to talk too much about the transfer portal tonight. We're going to talk more about the awards of the Big Ten, but we are going to preview Michigan and Iowa for you. I got my two guys here, Kent and Jason, to talk it over. Kent, go ahead and tell people who you are, where they can find you at.
All right. My name is Kent Peterson. I am on Twitter at Casual Big Ten. I do my own podcast as well. Casual Big Ten podcast. It's on YouTube and everywhere else that you listen to podcasts. And I think this is my third time on your show. I'm going to go down in Big Ten Huddle history, dude. Who's got the record right now? Is it me?
It's either you or Russ. Russ comes on for
this
basketball.
Is actually, yeah, well, it might be Russ then. This is my third time as well.
Yeah, so Jason,
I can't have this.
It's time.
Yeah.
I'm coming back on next week then.
Okay. Sounds good. And yeah, go check out Casual Big Ten. I love listening to Kent's content. He does a great job over there, and he's fire on Twitter as well. So go follow him there.
Appreciate that.
Jason, let people know where they can find you at and who you are.
Yeah, dude. So Jason Robinson, the Victors Nation, aka America's Team. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter. You can find us on our pod YouTube channel, going to Spotify and Apple Pods eventually soon too, and TikTok. And you can also visit us on our website at thevictorsnation.com.
I feel like you guys need to do some kind of like rebranding, like Victors America or something like that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out ideas here, you know.
Team America, World Police, Dash Michigan could do that.
Yeah. So
we'll talk it
over or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll shop it around. So, all right. Before we get started, please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. And if you're listening on podcast, please do give us a rating. We'd like to know what you think of the podcast. If there's things you think we can improve on, things we can do better, we appreciate that. And also, please please do know that we are brought to you by Big Banter Sports, BigBanterSports.com for all your Big Ten media needs. Victor Nation is another Big Banter podcast that you can find over at BigBanterSports.com. All right, guys, let's get to the Indiana.
Yeah.
The Iowa and Michigan game coming up. I think this is the largest favored championship game of the weekend. Michigan is favored by 22. The over-under is 35, so I guess they're giving Iowa some points here. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people talk about this game, and it seems pretty unanimous. People think Michigan's going to win, but Iowa might have a chance just to keep it interesting. But yeah, I agree. I'm doing my best here. Jason, let us know, what are your general thoughts on this game?
To be honest, I mean, Iowa always has a pretty stellar defense. Points allowed, they're in the top four, so fourth. Michigan's first in the country. But their defense is always pretty good. I think they might keep it close, maybe the first few possessions on defense. But overall, I mean, their bread and butter was also special teams, and losing Cooper, so number 3 for Iowa, that's going to hurt them. That obviously is going to hurt them a little bit. Eric All, which I was surprised. So we just had a pod with Connor Bailey from the Inside the Nest, also a part of Big Banter. So check him out. Eric All is still leading their team in receiving yards, and he's been hurt since week 7 against Wisconsin, which I thought was like, what the heck? And I also mentioned too, and it still drives me nuts. So like Dave McNamara, quote unquote, I hope we see him. I hope we see Michigan in the Big Ten championship. So the players, we've been hyped up for this game for a while. I mean, this is what we were kind of predicting that was going to be, as a fairy tale ending. Eric All, Cade McNamara, ex-Michigan players. They play Michigan with Iowa. Both of them are out, obviously, now as well, too. But pretty hyped up for this game. I think Iowa, they're going to start running the ball, try to get it open. But you're going to look at some pretty quick throws from Iowa, and maybe some desperate attempts downfield, maybe a couple trick plays. But as far as Michigan's defense goes, it's just not going to happen. If Iowa's going to come in thinking they have this underdog mentality, we've had distractions, right? We've had doubters the last 3 years, and we've even put up the numbers. We've even been a stellar top 5 team the last 3 years, I should say. We have that underdog mentality regardless. I don't care how good Michigan is. That's how we play football. So they really can't use that card. I'm thinking 44 Michigan, 13 Iowa. So we put up 42-3 on them in 2021, put up 43 points against Purdue the year before. So last season, we're putting up 44. Jim is finally back. You can look at the scores the last 3 games. I know they've been challenges, right? But when he is on the field and when he was back after that first suspension, after the first 3 games, we were putting up in the 40s. We were putting up in the 50s. We were gelling. Our offensive line was clicking. I know we don't have a Zach Zenter right now. So 6'5", mad respect. But we're 7 to 8 guys deep on that offensive line as well, too. And I don't think Iowa's defensive front's going to be able to apply pressure there. Jay Higgins, hell of a player for Iowa, 141 tackles. We're gonna get to his name, obviously, to a first team Big Ten on defense. But with Jim being back as well too, and Tony Pietti handing him the trophy, that's what I'm envisioning right now, and that's what I see the score being right now. Destiny.
That's the dream, huh? Just watching Tony Petitti
Dream.
give that. Yeah.
You know, ISP.
Yeah. There'll be lots of pictures, I'm sure.
Yeah,
no, I think Zach Zenter's injury, obviously, I think that's going to impact them in the playoffs. I don't think that's going to impact them too much against Iowa. I mean, no disrespect to Iowa, but I think this more impacts some of their larger packages where they bring in 6, 7 offensive linemen. Maybe they don't go to those packages and they just fill in with a tight end or something like that. But Golson Loveland and A.J. Barner, they're both really good blockers as well. So I don't know if it really impacts this game too much. I would look more for if they play Washington or Florida State, somebody like that. Possibly Oregon. We'll see what happens. One of those teams, absolutely. I think it'll impact that more. Kins, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, he hit on a lot. Jason hit on a lot of the same points that I would probably have said. My score prediction, I think, is going to be 40-0. I just don't have a lot of faith in Iowa's offense. And there's countless numbers of games that I could look back to, and it supports my thoughts on that because they struggled to score against Michigan State at home. They scored 13 last week on Nebraska. This is a Nebraska defense that let Michigan score, what was it, over 30? What was it in the Nebraska game for Michigan? Was it 41? I think in that game.
What we put up is 45-7.
45. Okay, so it's just an offense that I don't have a lot of faith in. And as Jason was saying, Michigan's defense, a lot of people are talking about Iowa's defense, and rightfully so, because their defense is the reason why they're going to Indianapolis in the first place. But
and special teams at first, too, which is non-factor now.
What's that?
And special teams, too, for Iowa has been pretty solid, too. I'm not talking about just the punter.
Yeah.
Right, but, I mean, it's just a non-factor right now.
Yeah, but I think what a lot of people are missing is how good Michigan's defense is. And maybe not a lot of people are missing it, but the talking point is really Iowa's defense and how it's gotten them to this point. But Michigan's defense is even better. So I think that you have a bad Iowa offense. You have a really elite Michigan defense, and I don't see Iowa scoring. Maybe at the end of the game, maybe, just maybe. But I think if Michigan plays their starters the whole time, which if it's 40-0, they're not going to do that. But even if they don't, their secondary guys I think can still hold them to a shutout. I like Michigan obviously a lot in this game. I think everyone does. I like the over in this game. I bet the over as soon as the line came out. And that is strictly based on how many points I think Michigan is going to score. It has nothing to do with Iowa whatsoever. Like I said, Michigan's defense too good. Iowa's offense too bad. And Iowa's defense is good, but you look at, Ohio State, second-ranked defense last week that Michigan went up against, and they scored 30 points on them. So Michigan has no problem scoring points, and they're definitely not going to have a problem doing it at a neutral site this weekend with their head coach coming back and all the motivation in the world that they have going into this game. So I like Michigan big in this game.
Yeah, it's crazy to think too, real quick, just like, what was it, 2013, 2014? So when they established these divisions, so East and West, I mean, I know everyone's looking for a fairy tale ending. We're not going to have divisions next year finally in the Big Ten Conference. Like, can Iowa pull it off? Like, I'm telling you right now, that underdog card's not going to work in their favor. It's not how Michigan plays in that mentality or physicality. But, a Big Ten West team has not won the Big Ten championship since establishing these divisions. It's only been
Ever.
legends and leaders, and we can't even talk about those divisions because they just sucked back in the past. But yeah, it's just been crazy. I mean, this is Iowa's third Big Ten championship. Almost beat Michigan State, but completely blown out in 2021. And we'll see what happens this coming Saturday as well too.
I feel like the thing I say about this game is the thing that I've been saying about the chance for every Michigan opponent this season, which is like, well, maybe if Michigan gets a little overconfident, but they've just not done it one single time this season. So, I mean, Michigan, this is one of the best cultures in the Big Ten. You can just tell, not just by how they play on the field, but how they, talk off the field and all those things. So, I mean, this is an amazing culture. The coaching staff has done an incredible job with getting these players not only to buy in to, like, working together, but, like, their roles, I mean, guys really do not seem to care about their stats. They just seem to care about, did we get the win? So I don't know if there is any possible way that Iowa wins this game. Maybe some fluky stuff happens. But even then, it's like Michigan is just so much better, and they're built so much different that I don't see a way. I've been saying it about Iowa all season long. Iowa is a team that is built to win the Big Ten West. That is what they're built to do. And that is the way that Kirk Ferentz coaches. And all props in the world to Kirk Ferentz for winning the Big Ten West. But if you're built to win the Big Ten West, you're not going to beat the Iowa or the Penn State, the Ohio State, the Michigans. You're just not going to beat those teams over in the East. I mean, we saw what happened earlier this season. Penn State won 31-0. I can't imagine that Iowa scores maybe more than a field goal in this game. If I had to give a score prediction, I'd give 45-3, just because I feel like if they get anything, it's a field goal. So
I think there is also something.
Props to Iowa too. I mean, they had a lot of key injuries as well this year.
Right, props to them. Like I said, they're just built.
They're built to do that. Yeah, I agree.
What were you gonna say, Kent?
I was just gonna say I think there's something to the fact that there's juniors on Michigan's team that have only played in the Big Ten championship every year they've been in college. Like, this is their third year in a row now that they're there. So there's a comfort level from the guys with the experience that they've had. Now, Iowa was there 2 years ago, so they have a couple guys on their roster as well that have also been there. But just something to be said about knowing how to go to the Big Ten championship and knowing how to win it. They've already done it twice in a row. Like, I just don't see it happening. I don't see a close game. I don't see an upset whatsoever. I would be really surprised if that happened.
Even when Cade McNamara was out there too, I mean, their offense still wasn't clicking, right? I mean, it just wasn't in there. But Cade is a motivator, but him and Eric all are going to be on the sidelines watching this game, and that's pretty much all they're going to be able to do. And I know Cade's interview, he's like, well, some of their plays and blah, blah. I mean, you've had game film all season. What's your point? It doesn't really matter what you still have to stop it.
Maybe he's been going to the games and videoing.
I mean, hey, that's advanced sign stealing.
I've actually brought that up with somebody, though. Like, is it illegal? Because I know the rule says that coaches can't do it. Can players not do it? Why can't players go?
I don't know.
Let's do that. Let's get that started.
If it's a healthy scratch.
I have seen that rule torn apart so many different ways by Ohio State fans and Michigan fans.
It's great.
And everybody.
It's great. We're not going to get into it, but it is gray. It is gray.
Yeah.
We don't know.
At the end of the day, all that really matters is what the NCAA looks at it and says, And unfortunately, the NCAA can basically do whatever they want because they're the NCAA. Hopefully they're gone in 5 years because they suck. All right, moving on. Let's get to the Big Ten Offensive Awards. I have the sheet pulled up right here, so we have some of them to reference. It's cutting it off up here. I'm not even going to mention the names because they're hard to go through all of them. But the offensive player of the year, surprising to me, was Marvin Harrison Jr. from Ohio State. I really thought either J.J. McCarthy or Blake Corum locked that up after the Michigan Ohio State game. J.J. McCarthy did end up winning quarterback of the year, receiver of the year, obviously Marvin Harrison Jr., running back of the year, Blake Corum, and then tight end of the year, Cade Stover. Was also surprised by that one. I thought that one was going to Colston Loveland.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit, but offensive lineman of the year, Olu Fashanu. There are multiple guys I would have considered for that, and Olu, he had a wonderful year pass blocking. I think his run blocking was a little questionable to be lineman of the year, but these are who they voted for. So Kent, let's go to you first. Any questions on guys who won these awards?
No, I think that for the most part, they're correct. They made the right choice. I would say that if I had to, and since we're just here bantering, and I will at this point, I thought that maybe Tualia with the quarterback of the year, he had some really good stats this year, some of them even better than JJ's. And for him to take the all-time Big Ten leader in passing yards is what I'm trying to get at this past weekend. Maybe a legacy award for him at this point would have been nice. But besides that, though, I really liked a lot of what they chose for the offensive side of the ball. I heard some people saying maybe Kyle Monungai because he had the most yards, but at the running back position, Blake Corum had 22 touchdowns?
22 touchdowns.
I don't care if he scored them from the 1-inch line every time. It's 6 points 22 times. Like
that's
that guy
a single
gets it.
Season record for the university too, for that specific football program. So
he definitely gets it. I didn't mind JR, you said you were kind of surprised offensive player of the year going to Marvin Harrison. I thought he was the best offensive player. He was the most unstoppable. He was the hardest to guard. And he did the most for his team, I thought, this year. So I didn't have a problem with that at all. I think overall they did a pretty good job. But, anytime these awards come out, there's going to be fan bases that are upset about it. And it just doesn't matter what people say, honestly. And to be frank, the awards really don't matter at this point. It's something nice to do for the kids and for the players. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to the wins and losses. So I was okay with everything that they chose.
Hey, we're gonna review these awards. They really don't matter, but we're gonna review.
I mean, they don't though, right?
I know. I'm just messing with you, kid.
It's fun to talk about, but they don't really matter.
Yeah, no, and I see what you're saying about Marvin Harrison Jr. I if I had a vote, I probably would have voted for Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. But I could have seen a lot of people voting for a Blake Corum or a J.J. McCarthy after that Michigan game, seeing them, have the offensive performance that they did against one of the best defenses in the nation. And it's very possible too that some people really like J.J. McCarthy, some people really like Blake Corum, and that kind of split. And the other people who liked Marvin Harrison Jr. just kind of won out there. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on some of these offensive individual player awards?
Yeah, pretty similar to what your guys were saying.
Oh, we lost him.
We lost Jason. Well, we'll get his thoughts.
You want me to fill in for his thoughts? He was pretty similar with what we were saying.
He was. I do want to talk, while we get Jason back in here, I do want to talk about Cade Stover, tight end of the year. Because, and we'll get to these guys later on, but down here at the offensive player of the year, first team, Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
So, and I know this is the coaches, so, we go down here to the media, and the media did vote Cade Stover, so, that's a thing there. But I was just looking at the votes there, I was surprised to see Cade Stover get it, even though the coaches voted Colston Loveland tight end of the year. Do you have any strong feelings either way about who should be tight end of the year?
Well, let me ask you this first, because this is going to show my casualness just a little bit. You said that the coaches choose the first, second, and third teams, and then who decides the players of the year then? How does that get decided?
I think the players of the year is the media. I need to go back and check my email, but I'll check that while Jason is talking. Jason, you cut out there.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Thoughts. You're good, dude.
So I'm not surprised by Blake Corum at all. Definitely well-deserved. Neither JJ, but I do agree. I do agree with you guys too on Tagovailoa. I mean, he had a hell of a year. Led the Big Ten in passing yards, right? I mean, he probably definitely should have been in this consideration, but I mean, JJ ended up winning more games. So I think that's why he got it. So not surprised by the pick, but I wouldn't have been surprised if I saw Tagovailoa right there from Maryland. As far as tight end, I think, and Harrison Jr., I'm not really surprised about. I think, close first. I think Blake Corum's up there in that consideration too. And I know, JR, you mentioned JJ as well too, but I think that maybe that Bowling Green game, that Maryland game as well too, maybe kind of sealed the deal on that for that award. But tight end, I don't know, man. I think that's my most surprising one. Offensive lineman as well too. It's not crazy surprising. That guy for Penn State is a hell of an athlete. It's well deserved. I'm not surprised by it. But I mean, gotta throw Zach Zenter's name out there for most of the year. I mean, he hasn't really allowed a sack, a pass rush. I mean, that guy is an absolute beast. Probably one of the best, if not the best, offensive guard in the country. So I'm surprised his name isn't up there. But as far as tight end, I think that's my most surprising. I know Cade's got talent there at that position, but as far as Colston Loveland, his sophomore year, I mean, you're looking at the next Bowers from Georgia. I mean, I don't understand how he's not in consideration. I mean, I'm sure he was, but I'm just surprised on how he did not end up with that tight end of the year of the Big Ten Award. I think his name needs to be there.
Yeah, I was also surprised because Cade Stover did miss time too, and normally if you miss some time, that makes it a little difficult to make that happen. But hey, Michigan players basically missed time since they never played the fourth quarter until like the last 3 weeks of the season. So I guess you could say they missed time as well.
We had some trash time this year.
Yeah. Kent, I did check it, and it says that the individual postseason awards are voted on by conference coaches, a select media panel, and team honors individuals. So I don't know who the team honor individuals are. I guess there's maybe a couple extra coaches or something like that in there.
It was me. I was the representative from Northwestern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
They called me in.
Gotcha. Hey,
I'm the reason Marvin Harrison got that, by the way.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. That was me.
Right. Well, thank you for your contribution, Kent.
Hey, no problem. Anything I could do to help the conference, man.
Did you write on
He's
there
just spreading the love around too.
I
appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I think Olu Fashanu, like you said, Jason, he's very deserving. I look at that and I think to myself, there was probably a list of 4 or 5 different guys who could have got there as well. Glaze for Maryland, he was a really underrated offensive lineman this year, a tackle. He was really, really good, and I don't think people realized how good he was. In addition to Zach Zenter not allowing a pressure like all year, him and Matthew Jones were right there together. Matthew Jones from Ohio State. They both had a ton of snaps and weren't allowing pressures. I think they both allowed a final pressure in like week 12 or something like that. So they did eventually.
It's like they have the names, and we do it too. Every media outlet, sports media outlets, they have the names. It's like, and that plays a toll. Like, well, we're going to give them this anyways. So
exactly. I mean,
it's still well deserved, but the tight end one it doesn't bother me, but it's just I think that one's just a little surprising.
Right. No, I get that for sure. I think I told somebody on Twitter I could have gone either way, Colston Loveland or Cade Stover. I think both of them deserved it. Either one, would have been fine. So
I actually voted for Corey Dyches on that, so I might have messed up that vote for you guys. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hey,
I apologize. I'm just a big fan of his. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I feel like it would be a fun exercise to go through and not give Ohio State or Michigan any of these awards. It's like if we just took out Ohio State and Michigan players.
All right, let's do it real quick. Who's your quarterback? Would be Tulia.
Talia, yeah.
That would be an obvious one.
Running back.
Kyle Monangai.
Monangai, Rutgers.
Or Braylon Allen, but he was hurt most of the season. So, receiver of the year. Williams.
Not Michigan or Ohio State.
Isaiah
Williams from Illinois.
Yeah, because he was on
the. Probably have to go him.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who I would vote for? Actually, I would vote for Cam Johnson from Northwestern because he was on my podcast last week.
There you go.
So he would get my vote.
Yeah, give him the vote. Tight end, you say Corey Dyches there?
Yeah, Corey Dyches all day at tight end. Like, he's awesome.
Still going Colson Loveland. I'm going to break the rules here.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
whoa.
man. Jason just doesn't care about the rules. Okay, and then offensive lineman, pick somebody not Olu or Ohio State, Michigan.
I mean, I'm going to say Jeff Smith because I don't know a single offensive lineman name. And he plays.
The guy
I don't know who he
Maryland.
plays for.
The Glaze guy.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at the kind of the offensive explosion guys or the explosive offenses, that's kind of what you look at there is Maryland, Ohio State, and Michigan. And Penn State was good offense. They were just never explosive in big games. So, all right, let's look at defensive players. So, defensive players, we have Jer'Zhan Newton, Johnny Newton from Illinois, won Defensive Player of the Year. Dylan Thielman won the Freshman of the Year. It's not exactly a defensive award, but he is a defensive player. By the way, David Braun did win Coach of the Year, both the coaches and the media, so props to him. Defensive Lineman of the Year, Jer'Zhan Johnny Newton again. Linebacker of the Year, was surprised by this one, Tommy Eichenberg from Ohio State. Defensive Back of the Year, Cooper DeJean, Iowa. And then if we want to talk some special teams, we can. Kicker of the Year, Dragon, I don't even know how to say his last name, the guy from Minnesota, Keish Kitch. And then Punter of the Year, obviously, Torrey Taylor. Return Specialist of the Year, obviously, Cooper DeJean. Jason, let's go to you first. Any thoughts on these Defensive Player of the Year?
Maybe defense alignment of the year. I know, I know Newton's a stud, but at the same time, I was a little shocked by that, the way Michigan's played. But it's looked a little bit different with Michigan since teams, they've met Hutchinson, they've met David Ajabo, and they get the ball up pretty quick the last season and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But Chris Jenkins as well too, absolute stud. I'm not debating it too much. I know the guy's a hell of an athlete, but I think I would have went different there. I think there's other players in the Big Ten that might have been up in conversation with the defense alignment of the year.
Well, and he's also kind of name recognition, right? I mean,
yeah,
he was, kind of the guy at Illinois the entire year, and he came back, and everybody was excited for him. Not to say he doesn't deserve it; he deserves it.
Oh, he definitely does. Tommy Eichenberg is another guy. I mean, I know he's well deserved of it. I mean, the guy's a freak, right? I mean, he's an absolute stud on the gridiron. But man, I hate to talk about Michigan more, but I'm a Michigan fan. But I think we had some studs in that linebacker. Junior Colson's another guy that you could have definitely brought up in that conversation as well too. But Mike Barrett, man, Mikey B. I mean, you could have brought him in. That is a freaking snub that he got third team. Big Ten defense. No, I know we'll get there, but I gotta mention it. That's BS. That is BS. But defensive back of the year, Cooper DeJean, hell of a special teams player, hell of a defensive back. Hopefully he's getting healthier. I know he's out for the remainder of the season, so thoughts, prayers to him and his injury for recovery. But man, I would have put up Mikey Sanistrell for Michigan. Yeah, I'm being biased. I don't care. Mikey Sanistrell, 5 interceptions, 2 clutch ones against Maryland as well too. I mean, you can even put Will Johnson in that conversation as well, with both of them being first team defense. But that one was all these guys are deserved of this award for a reason, but it's just hard to pick from all these players because I think everyone's got their own opinion. I think there could be other conversations that could be had here on some of these.
Right. Yeah. No, I think Will Johnson and Mike Sanders still would be good names as well. I think Sanders still led the Big Ten in interception touchdowns or something like that at one point.
Yeah, he had 2, I believe, 2.
So Sonny's here, says, really happy for Newton, triple teamed all year long. For sure, Sonny. Yeah, I mean, Newton, like we said, very, very deserving. Defensive Player of the Year as well as Lineman of the Year. I don't think anybody's questioning if he deserved it or not. Just some additional names to think about because, Jer'Zhan did get the love all season long. Kent, what do you think about these Defensive Players of the Year?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't follow my name is Casual Big Ten on Twitter, so I don't follow the defensive guys as much. I will say that one guy that I do want to mention that I talked about over the summertime was a transfer coming into Indiana. Now, I know Indiana had a lot of opportunities on defense, so his numbers might be a little inflated. But Aaron Casey from Indiana coming in, his first year at Indiana, had a really big year. But overall, like I said, don't follow it as closely. I mean, I recognize all the names that you guys are talking about, but I don't have a problem with anything that they chose for these players of the year as far as that goes. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you a little bit more on that, man. I wish I could get on here and just say, man, I wish this guy could have won, but yeah, I just don't know enough guys. I will say, like, to follow up what you said at the linebacker spot too, I saw a tweet thread about Jay Higgins and Tommy Eichenberg comparing stats, and I know that Jay Higgins had much better stats, but it goes back to what I
Yeah, it's
just said.
someone I should have mentioned.
Yeah, it just goes back a little bit to what I just said about, Aaron Casey. Iowa was on the field so much, so they had a lot more opportunities on defense. We talked about that before we started recording than Ohio State did. So don't have a problem with him getting linebacker of the year either at that position.
Well, it's just the nature of Iowa having the offense that they have and the defense that they have is, their defense is just going to get so many more snaps than other people. Now, do you take that away from Jay Higgins? No, by no means do you do that. Jay Higgins, he made tons of tackles this year. For him to have the
141.
Right. I mean, like, that's absolutely ridiculous. That not only would he make that many tackles, but that he's on the field for that many snaps, doing it that many times. A couple of guys I do want to mention that I think are a little underrated. I was kind of high on them all season long. Were Nick Sorton, I think is how you say it, from Purdue, and Kydron Jenkins. Those two guys led the Big Ten in sacks for a good amount of the year, and I think they still do. I didn't check that before I came on. And both of them were leading the Big Ten in pressures as well. So, Purdue, obviously, this year was not known for their defense. It was not a great defense, but they were really getting after the quarterback, pressuring them. And I even think, J.J. McCarthy was feeling it a little bit in his game as well. Now, J.J. still had a great game, don't get me wrong, but, they were really the first team that was starting to put pressure on J.J. McCarthy. And with the offensive line that Michigan has, that's an impressive feat to be able to do that. So I do want to mention those guys as well because I think they
even Indiana was applying that pressure as well too. I mean, Aaron Casey was up there with 6.5 sacks, but Nick Sorton from Purdue led the Big Ten in 10 sacks.
And Indiana had a defensive end. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now. They had a defensive end that transferred in from Western Michigan that had a good season too. Like I said, I can't remember his name right now, but he had a really good season as well. So he's one that, I don't think he should have won Defensive Lineman of the Year, but.
Is it Linnell Carr?
No.
Okay. I'm just looking at the sack stats right now. So
I think the defensive side of things, guys, it's just like there's a lot of good defense in the Big Ten this year.
Right.
I mean,
well, that's what the West specializes on, So.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed to not see Tyler Nubin. Obviously, like I said, Cooper DeJean deserves it, but Tyler Nubin, he had a great year too. There were some, bad plays he made that were kind of costly for Minnesota, and that sucks because I think when you make those plays, like that's what people remember. I don't think people remember like how good you were snap for snap. But Tyler Nubin, I think people kind of slept on him all season long. He was one of the better safeties, not just in the Big Ten, but in the nation. So. All right, let's get to the Big Ten Offensive All-Conference. All right, so we got 3 teams here, and we got some honorable mentions down here if we want to get to those at all. But essentially, this is who the coaches selected. I think we'll just go with that. The media selected some down there as well, so I can look at that if we want to. But here's what the coaches selected. I don't want to list off every single team for the listeners, but I will list off the first team for you just because there are so many names. J.J. McCarthy, first team quarterback. Blake Corum and Travion Henderson are your first team running backs. Isaiah Williams from Illinois. Marvin Harrison Jr. are your receivers. Center is Drake Nugent from Michigan. Had a very underrated year. Drake Nugent was outstanding this year, and I don't think he got enough credit for it. Zach Center, guard from Michigan. Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. The tackle, Ladarius Henderson from Michigan, Olu Fashanu from Penn State, and Colston Loveland was the tight end from Michigan on the first team. Kent, did you have any thoughts on the offensive first, second, or third team?
I mean, I look at that first team right there, and I just wonder, like, if you could just build an NFL team just around those guys, what it would look like. It would be really
Pretty
fun
much.
to watch. Like, just start a franchise and just call it the Big Ten, whatever. Put it
Right.
in Indianapolis. I guess they already have a team. Put a second team in Chicago. Let's do it.
We can get
And
rid of the
we'll
Colts.
call
It's
it.
okay. We can get rid of
What's
the
that?
Colts. We can get rid of the Colts. I'm a Colts
Yeah.
fan. And
There you
Okay,
go.
yeah, we
them.
could do that.
Just put
No.
this team out there instead.
No, but going down the list, though, man, I mean, those are just all great players. I think that, I was really high on Travion Henderson, especially towards the end of the year, like the last 5 weeks. He started really turning it on, I thought. And I know he battled a little bit of some injuries. And then at the beginning of the year, they were kind of going by committee, just trying to figure out exactly what they were going to do. And I know they still use different backs, like even in the last game that they played. But I think if things shake out a little bit differently for him this year, he might have been the best back in the entire conference. So I like that he's still on first team. Obviously, Blake Corum deserves it. J.J. McCarthy, I already talked about how Tualia might have been first team just because of the stats that he put up this year. And then, obviously Marvin. I mean, some of these were just so obvious that it was like, you can't not really agree with them. So I like that first team, man. It's just a lot of great players, and it was really fun to watch them this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, there's NFL talent all over this first team. Travion Henderson is going to be a high pick because of his athleticism. Blake Corum's not going to be a super high pick, but he's going to be a guy that's going to get to a team and he's going to produce in a very specialized role for them in good ways. So he's going to be kind of an underrated draft pick. And, it's just the NFL draft is so much about athleticism and youth and those kind of things. And, Blake Corum doing 4 years at Michigan? I don't think he did a fifth year. He's just going to be a little bit more underrated in that, but you're exactly right. There's a ton of NFL talent here. J.J. McCarthy might go first round or second round, probably. But there's also
enough teams need it.
So yeah, I mean, we'll see how much they want quarterbacks. But Jason, what were your thoughts on these teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kyle Monogny, he could have made first team. But the amount of carries and attempts that he had as well, too, I think Henderson did deserve that first team ballot as well there, too. So I'm not really going to dispute that. Monogny had a hell of a year, though. I want to give him credit. Offensive line, Michigan really taking that home to a point. We're about 7 to 8, maybe 9 guys deep on that offensive front. So really not surprised there that we got most of those awards. Then you see Colston Loveland first team, but then Cade Stouffer got the tight end of the year award in Big Ten, which I'm trying to make sense of it. I guess I can't, but I'm just still kind of confused.
I think we talked about it when you were gone.
Players.
I think we talked about it when you were gone on the media team down here. Cade Stover got first team. So there was something weird about the way the coaches and the media were voting. There was something there. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I'll go back up here so you can keep going.
Yeah, so I'm really not surprised by this first team at all. Mm-hmm. And like Ken was saying too, if you can make an NFL team, so who are we moving? The Colts? They're gone. Yeah. Maybe do a rebrand as well too, but
they can keep Anthony Richardson,
yeah.
But we need JJ to back him up for when he gets hurt.
Yeah, so. JJ's going to be starting, my man. JJ's going to be starting. But, like Ken was saying, too, I think Tagovailoa could have made first team as well, too. You can't tell me they don't go off of wins as well, too, especially in key games. And he produced, but he couldn't get it done. And I think JJ looked like a better quarterback all year compared to that. So
we didn't really talk about the freshman of the year as well. Went to defensive back Dylan, I think it's
Thieneman, yeah.
And I thought that if we're going to talk about snubs, that's the most outrageous one, that Kyle Monogny did not get that award.
Yeah. Can they hate him or something? This makes sense.
What's that?
He's Kyle Monogny.
Well, Kyle he's a junior.
What? I thought he was a freshman this whole year.
No.
Who am I thinking of that's a freshman then?
Morgan from Michigan.
No, it's one of the red teams.
One of the red teams.
It's too many damn red teams.
We got too many red teams up in here.
Why did I think? I swore he was a freshman. That's why I was so impressed with his stats all year. Dude, I've been going through this whole season.
This is going to drive me nuts.
Did he ever play?
You're really showing your casual here, Kent.
Dude, and that's exactly why I'm called that.
just in case.
Dude,
No,
what the
Darius
hell?
Taylor is the Minnesota back. That was a freshman that was killing it, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, he came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he played 5 games, I think 5 of the first 6 games or the first 5 games, something like that. And he still is like up there as one of the. He still has almost 600 yards, and he only played in 5 games.
Well, then I'm a damn
I
idiot.
know
I
he
take
didn't
back
put up the
everything I just
stats either,
said.
but Jalen Lucas, sophomore from Indiana, is actually absolute speedster too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking forward to not against Michigan, but I'm looking forward to seeing him on this list, and maybe the next year or two. So
I think he was third team. Where's he at? Return specialist.
Offense. Yeah.
Oh no, that was Tracy. I think he must have been media third team.
Yeah, he didn't put up as many stats as I thought
Jalen
he
Lucas
would this year, but he was he is freaking quick.
He did have that kick return against Purdue. That was really impressive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, all right. I do want to point out, give Iowa some credit here. They completely took away the third team. It's internal of the offensive line here. So, props to Iowa for their internal offensive line. And I do think I want to give credit to DeJean Burks as well from Purdue. He was a really good wide receiver. He's in the transfer portal now, so we'll see what he does. I do think this season we're going to see more guys go into the portal but still come back. There's just too many guys going in for them all to go somewhere. But man, what a disappointment for Emeka Egbuka. I mean, he was regarded as like one of the best wide receivers in the nation. And I know he was hurt for a little bit, so we do have to like reference that. But still, like, he had a huge drop in the game against Michigan, and once he came back from injury, he just never looked the same. So I mean, he's probably still gonna be like a high draft pick and stuff like that. But was really surprised to see him on the third team, and I can't remember the last time that an Ohio State quarterback was third team in the Big Ten. That's surprising, and I know that the Ohio State fan base is not too happy with Kyle McCord right now. So
I mean, hey, you could get Washington State's quarter. You could get Ward Jr.
Yeah,
I still wouldn't take him, but we'll
see if they go after Cam Ward. All right, let's move on to our last part here. Big Ten All Defensive Conference team. So we have the first team and the second team here. Kent, I know that you are casual, so you might not have a lot of thoughts on the defensive team, but what thoughts do you have?
I'm still trying to figure out who that freshman running back is that I got mixed up with Kyle Monungai the whole time.
Is it Minnesota? Is it Taylor?
It wasn't Taylor. I swear it was someone from Maryland or Rutgers, so I can't figure it out. I don't know what I was thinking this whole year. It doesn't matter, though. The defensive side, Chop Robinson, one of my favorite guys named to say, so I think that he was awesome and obviously deserves to be on first team just based off of his name. And then Newton, you guys already talked about him, had an awesome year. Will Johnson, first team. And then Tyler Nubin. I think Tyler Nubin, and now like I'm extremely untrustworthy, but I think he's the all-time leading interceptor at Minnesota at this point.
Oh, really?
That could be factual. I feel like I heard that during a game. So I'm just pulling up stuff that I think I heard. So Tyler Nubin, much deserved. But yeah, great first team once again. Let's put that offense and defense all together and just make one NFL team, and I think it's going to be great, man. It's going to be a great team. I can't wait to see it.
We'll have to track that.
I think he's had like 13. I think he's had 13 in his career, I believe.
Nubin?
Interceptions. Nubin, yes. Tyler Nubin.
See, I'm looking all this stuff up now. Let's see.
It says 13. The Gophers safety set a school
record. Okay, so is it for a season
career.
then?
No, career interceptions.
He's had 5 this year, which is the most he's ever had.
Yeah, Sports Illustrated put out that he had a record for career interceptions for Minnesota. 13.
I'm back. Credibility is back.
You knew what you were talking about.
That's right.
Jason, you have any thoughts on these defensive players?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, again, all well-deserved. I mean, there's too many athletes this year to even look at. So first team, really no complaints. Like Cooper DeJean, hell of an athlete, hell of a special teams player. But, I mean, Mikey Sanistro, Mikey S. not getting on first team, I'm going to have to disagree with that one. I don't get that one.
Would you take Will Johnson off to put him on?
I was gonna say, who would you replace him
Dude,
with?
oh my God, that's a tough question. No, I'd like them both on first team. I couldn't remove one or the other, but Mikey Standish, I mean, he lays the wood. I mean, he is a ball hawk as well, too. 5 interceptions. I know the most, I think 2 players tied with 6, I think Wisconsin and a guy from Purdue, but I just don't understand why Mikey Standish is not on the first team. I don't understand that part. Mason Graham for sure. And why Mason Graham is so good, it's a hell of a high school wrestler coming to Michigan as well, too. So what he can do with his hands, the plays that he can make, his speed, his legs, just an absolute stud. Sophomore season too. So definitely looking forward to him more on this list. Maybe in another year he's gone. Maybe he stays another 2. We'll see. But overall, really no complaints. I mean, just absolute studs. And just as a Michigan fan, I mean, I see Jeter Coasland, second team. Really no star defense or offense. I mean, everyone kind of contributes here and there per game, but man, Mike Barrett too, like third team. I know I kind of mentioned it before we started or while we were starting to record earlier on. I'm just kind of surprised he made third team. He's got to be up there. I just don't get that part either.
I think that defensive back spot, now that I'm really digging into who's on second and third team, had to have been the toughest decisions to make because it's really tough to take anybody off of the first team to put Mikey on there, or, you know, like Dylan T, I'm going to call him, from Purdue. He had a great year as well. And like Kalen King, I think if you had a Penn State fan on right now, he would be arguing for him to be on first team. So I just think that there was just too many spots, too many good players for not enough spots. Yeah. It just makes it really tough. I think that it's an honor for that position as much as any in the Big Ten to be even on second or third team.
And Thieneman, he had the tied for the most interceptions on the season because he got 2 against Indiana the last game of the season. So him and Ricardo Hallman, which that was the one I was going to mention. I would have loved to see Ricardo Hallman on,
Me too.
You know, first, second, or third team, because I mean, you don't lead the Big Ten in interceptions by accident. Like, you have to be a ball hawk to be able to do that. And I just really think that's a huge, huge stat. I don't know who I would have gotten rid of. Maybe Hardy. I think Hardy was kind of a bit overrated this year. Don't get me wrong. I think he's good, but I think there's guys who are better than him. But yeah, really, really interesting. Who was the other guy I was going to ask about?
Kenneth Grant. I'm like, you know, I'm not surprised on second team, but man, I want to give him the rock though. Like, let him run for 70 yards. The guy's like 300 plus pounds and he runs like the wind. Give him the damn ball.
I was going to point out that On3 put out a Heisman hopeful list, and he was number 10 on Kenneth Grant. And then the Big Ten puts out their all-conference team, and he's second team. It's like, what?
Was he the guy, the highlight from the Penn State game?
Yeah.
That like was going viral.
And if you watch the Rutgers at Michigan game, he's the one that ran with Mike Stanisher when he picked the ball off at the 50-yard line and he shut the quarterback down.
Oh my God.
So
that's awesome.
He's quick. He can stay with these guys. He's fast. Just give him the ball. Let him run for 70 yards. Touchdown.
And then there's a
lot of talent on defense in the Big Ten this year. Sure. So all these awards are well deserved.
For sure.
Well deserved.
There's a Northwestern linebacker I wanted to highlight too. Xander, I can't remember his name. Mular or something like that. I'll have to search it here, but he had a really good season, and he was kind of underrated this year. Yeah, Xander Mueller. He just had a good season this year, and I think he was a little bit underrated. He didn't quite get the pressures on the quarterback, but over 70 tackles, you know, just a good defender for Northwestern that was able to really help them along the way. I think Bryce Gallagher, you know, deserved it over him.
110 tackles. Got a lot of tackles this year.
Yeah, so...
and Shaheed Still from Maryland, absolute stud as well, too. Maybe close to that first team list as well.
Didn't he drop an interception against JJ? Or was that another guy?
Yeah, but he had it, but he still had a pretty damn good year.
No, yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, like, he got there. Not many guys can even get their ball. not many guys can even get their hands on the ball against JJ. So, even to just get your hands there to break it up or get close to interceptions.
Yeah, when he dropped that, though, he dropped off the list. That's what happened.
That's
he
what
dropped
happened.
it down a full team as soon as he dropped that.
Kent was there. He knows.
Yeah.
That was what was talked about.
You were helping him.
I was in the room.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I'm the Northwestern representative.
Yeah. Let's talk through special teams just for a minute. See what you guys think on this. Kicker, first team was Dragon Kashish. Again, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Punter, Toya Taylor. Return specialist, Cooper DeJean. Second team was James Turner from Michigan. Jaden Fielding from Ohio State. I feel like James Turner won that over Jaden Fielding in the game, considering he played better than Fielding. And then Eckley from Michigan State. Hardy from Penn State was the return specialist. And then third team, Drew Stevens from Iowa. Alex Felkin from Penn State were the kickers. Tommy Duman from Michigan was the punter. And Tyron Tracy Jr. from Purdue was the third team specialist. Jason, you have any thoughts on these guys?
Really no debate here. I mean, Minnesota's Dragon he had a hell of a year this year.
He was
James Turner as well too. I know Jaden Philly, he missed that. He made that field goal, and then we called it time. Sharon Moore called that timeout, and he missed it. But I mean, really no debate here. I mean, all these teams have had solid special teams all year. Is beside just in regards specifically to the kicking game, punting. Not surprised by Iowa. Not really surprised by Michigan State. Tommy from Michigan. Take a shot in the dark, Ken. Tommy from Michigan, Doman, he had that crazy kick in Maryland. He had another one against Ohio State as well, too. I mean, he has had a hell of a year punting the ball accurately and putting it right where he wants it to. So overall, very impressed with him.
I swear he watched Tori Taylor highlights before that.
He must have, but we had Brad Robbins for a while. It's like, who's our next punter? You get so used to these guys, and
yeah.
I mean, he's definitely taken that spotlight on it, and he's killed it. Return specialist Cooper DeJean, I can't complain there. I mean, the guy's absolute stud. I'm not going to get into the Minnesota game and what happened there, if it's a fair catch or not, but he was a beast. He's an absolute beast return specialist this year for Iowa. No complaints on any of these, really.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Kit?
I love it. I mean, having a punter on any first, second, or for third team this year, I'm kind of surprised to see a Michigan guy on there, but especially for those first two guys, it's really an indictment on your offense more than anything. I feel like that your punter is getting so many opportunities, but yeah, obviously Tory Taylor, the Heisman campaign continues for him. Hoping to see him in New York at the end of the year. Ryan Eckley, little note about this. If Ryan or the backup punter at Michigan State decides to transfer, look out for Michael Oshag-Hennessy next year. He's the backup punter at Michigan State, and he is the funniest name to say out loud, and look for him to be on first, second, or third team next year. Michael Oshag-Hennessy, backup punter at Michigan State.
Are you saying he's good, or are you just saying he's?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Solid name.
I was like, man, he punted. Casual Big Ten is coming in hot with some backup punters.
Bobby Boucher.
I wanted him to play. He actually transferred into Michigan State this year, and I thought he was going to be the punter. I had no idea that they even had more than one punter on the team. So I'm hoping that he transfers out this year to a team where he'll get some more opportunities. Maybe to I mean, Michigan State's going to give him a lot of opportunities still next year. But is Tory Taylor a senior?
I think so.
So let's get him on. Let's get Michael Oshag-Hennessy at Iowa next year.
There we go.
That'd be great. Let's open up the transfer portal and get him over to Iowa, and so we can talk about him a little bit.
Please tell me this guy has a mullet.
No, I don't. No, he's just normal looking dude.
Got to with that name.
Oh, you know what? I don't even think he can play next year. Here we go again. I don't know what class people are in. It says he's a redshirt senior. Does that mean he gets one more year?
If he was COVID, he might get another year.
Come on, Michael. We need you, brother. We need you to stay in the Big Ten.
I typed in Michael Oshag-Hennessy and it pulled up a guy with a trumpet, so I'm gonna say he's probably not
It might be him.
Yeah,
That might could be him. We don't know. We're
see
not sure.
I don't see any pictures of him with his helmet off, so I don't know.
Yeah,
If,
just a normal looking dude with an awesome name. No, but in all seriousness, though, like everyone that was on here, like absolutely deserved everything that they got.
He's a
I
former
hate that Cooper
quarterback.
DeJean's not playing
Oh,
in
no,
this
never mind.
game on
Sorry.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I wish
that-
he was playing. I wish Cade was playing. Eric All was playing. It's kind of as a football fan, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, big bummer. I
Especially
hate that.
for sure.
Here we
But-
go. Here he is.
You find him?
Yeah.
Got a picture of him?
He's a pretty normal looking dude.
Yeah.
That's not coming up, is it? Ah.
Oh, he's on Twitter. I got his Twitter bio pulled up here. Let's pull this up. I'm gonna start
I don't know why
following
it's
him
not
right
pulling
now.
up on my second screen over here. Let me see if I can add it. See if that'll work. There we go. Okay, here we go.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
There he is.
He's
There's
a pretty
the
normal
man.
looking dude. Kind of a long face, but
I hope his
skinny. That's good.
I really just hope his punting style like meshes with Coach Smith's new philosophy and everything, so that he'll be able to, like, if he does stay, and Ryan decides to leave or something like that, then we'll get a lot of opportunities for him next year. You just never know with these new coaches, these backup punters, if they're going to get along.
Right. Yeah. Because that's the most important relationship on the team.
It
Backup
really
punter.
is.
It is.
I mean,
if that falls through the cracks, I mean, your whole season can go downhill.
Hey,
It
but
takes a lot of time to mend.
Speaking of Michigan State, though, I do have to pound my fist on the table for Jonathan Kim, okay? This dude hit 4 50-plus yard field goals this season. 4! I mean, Jaden Fielding couldn't even hit one. I mean, I guess he did hit one. It just didn't count. But, 4 50-yard field goals this season. His percentage was down, so everybody can get on him about that. But he didn't kick a single field goal from within 30 yards this year. All of his field goals were from 30 yards plus for Michigan State. 6 for 6 from 30 to 39 yards. He was 3 for 5 for 40 to 49 yards. And then 4 for 7 in 50-plus yard field goals. I'm just saying, I think he probably deserved it over one of those other guys. But let's just say.
pretty interesting that they had 2 guys named Kim score points for them this year. Maybe that's part of the problem. They got too many guys with girls' names that they can't get on the scoreboard more.
Well, now that's what I want to figure out. Are Jonathan
I think it's a culture problem,
Kim
but
and Noah Kim related?
No, I don't think. I think we already looked this up.
Did
Me and Tommy Hook looked this up. I watched that Iowa game with him, and we were shocked to see that their kicker's name
Hollister is
also Kim.
transferring now too, so it's just like it's insane.
Is Noah Kim transferring, or is it just Hauser?
I don't think Noah. I think Hollister just says I don't think Noah Kim's transferring.
I saw a tweet today
yet.
that said all 3 of their quarterbacks are transferring.
They're good.
Well, Jonathan Smith better bring in that Childs guy because they're going to need him. That is wild.
Not with Oshag Hennessy on the sideline. They don't need anything, man. You kidding me?
Watch him be the only player for Michigan State next year.
He's going to
He's gonna play every position.
punter
He's gonna
and
be like a Booby Miles. He can do everything.
That'd be great.
Just
He might
watch.
have to play quarterback
That's
at this
true.
point.
Yeah.
If they run out of guys. All right, well, we've completely gone off the rails with the awards, but I had fun with it. Hope you guys did too. Any more thoughts
Yeah.
on, anything you guys want to talk about? College football playoffs, awards, Big Ten, any other thoughts you guys want to bring up before we get out of here?
I want to know who's going. In all seriousness, I know I've been joking about the Heisman, but who is going to be representing the Big Ten at the Heisman Awards?
I feel like the best chance is Marv, isn't it? Because I don't think Corum got it.
I mean, Michigan. I mean, with the touchdowns that he's had, Michigan's
Right.
had a lot of trash time this year. A lot of trash time.
Right,
So,
I think
you're
Corum
actually
should've
seen
got-
the full games the last 3 games. But yeah, Corum would have been our next bet. I mean, JJ was, it could still be in the mix as well too. But at
I
the
feel like
same
that
time,
Penn
I
State
think Marvin
game was kinda
Harrison
where he-
Jr.
I feel like that Penn State game is kind of where JJ's stock kind of dropped.
That's the thing. Like, if you were to ask JJ, hey, do you want to run the ball 30 plus times against the number 1 rushing team in Happy Valley, or do you want to pass the ball and maybe get your stats up? He's going to be running the ball.
Right. Well,
It's just these guys his team really doesn't care about individual awards that much. It'd be cool to have a Michigan player represent the Heisman again and be noted for that, but it's just the culture. So
I know it's a little bit past Cyber Monday, but I am selling a preseason Nicholas Singleton Heisman winner ticket to anybody that wants it. It was originally $25. I'm willing to get rid of it for 10 at this point if anyone's interested.
Wow. Got a deal there.
Yeah, so just put that out to the people if anyone wants that.
JR, anyone messaging, calling in?
We're not
the
getting any
1-800
comments
line right now.
We have
Nothing.
3 viewers right now,
Dead.
and none of them are commenting.
That's a good deal. That's over 50% off.
Yeah, I mean, just to go back to the college, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from that, but from Kent, but just to talk about the college football playoff, like it could be absolute chaos, right? I don't think it's gonna be, but I think it's gonna be Georgia. I think it's gonna be Florida State. I don't see Florida State getting any further after this, just because their quarterback's out the last 2 weeks, but they're finding ways to win.
Can we all agree, though, Florida State is fraudulent? They don't belong in the playoffs.
Right now, I don't. I mean, look at them in Washington. They should have lost. Should have lost games that they should have won big points by, but they didn't. So Florida State and Washington for sure. But it's any given Saturday, found a way to win, and they did it. But and then Michigan. But I think Oregon beats Washington and finds a way in. I think Oregon finally. I think they're going to beat Washington. Washington should have lost a few times.
Yeah, they should have lost to Arizona State. They just decided to take that game off, basically.
Yeah.
But
I think Alabama's going to beat Georgia. Is that crazy?
It could happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, Bowers is healthy. He's been back a few weeks now, and I just don't think.
I thought it was going to happen.
Georgia's losing to Bama.
I thought it was going to happen, and then that Auburn game happened.
But it was like that. Like, what was it? 2 years ago? It was like down to the wire too.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Iron Bowl.
I get like the rivalry thing, like obviously Ohio State and Michigan. The records could be as different as possible, but you could still see a really close game between those two teams. But still, like Alabama trying to fight for a playoff spot, and then you go out and you have to win on like a 3rd and 31 or something like that yard pass, like. Against
and it's like they're in a difficult spot because they're ranked, and then Texas is at number 7. So what is the playoff committee? This is the worst case scenario for the playoff committee to find themselves with Bama beating Georgia. Bama's 8, Georgia's 1. What do you do now with teams ahead of Bama? You can't just jump Bama in, can you? Do they want 2 SEC teams in the Final Four? Yeah, probably. They would love it. They'd probably take 4 if they could.
Well, they want 2 Big Ten teams. If they're thinking about their TV ratings, they want 2 Big Ten teams in, because you put Ohio State and Michigan in there again, I guarantee you're gonna have
the biggest ratings since Obama made it into the White House. Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean,
you're gonna get a lot.
There's a reason why that game draws, nearly 20 million viewers this year. There's a reason why when those 2 teams play.
So, yeah, I mean, it's not going to do anything for Ohio State if Oregon beats Washington, because Oregon's just going to jump into the Final Four, and then Washington's going to get pushed out. It would just be a replacement within that Pac-12 conference.
Yeah.
But if Florida State loses, and then maybe Bama beats Georgia, I mean, that's going to be a tough.
Georgia, that's bad for Ohio State.
Yeah, because you'd almost want to put 2 SEC teams in it then. Or you put Texas. I mean, you shouldn't put Texas in there, because I feel like Texas should have lost a lot of games now too. I mean, I know Quinn Evers is kind of banged up a little bit and hurt, but maybe we got to see Manning though. I think he's gonna be pretty damn good.
I don't think at this point in time, I don't see a path for Ohio State. I mean, obviously anything can happen this Saturday, but I don't see where the combination works out for them to get back in, even though they are ranked right on the. What are they, 6 right now?
They're 6. They're 6.
Yeah. So. I just don't see the path right now for them. I mean, maybe I'm being a little pessimistic about that, but
no, it's not likely. But the path,
I think Florida State.
It would be Florida State loses, Texas loses, and Alabama loses. You have to have all 3 of those teams lose, which one of those is likely because Georgia's favored over Alabama, but the 2 others are underdogs. So
because then it would be what? Georgia, Michigan,
Georgia, Michigan, whoever wins the
Washington,
Pac-12, and Ohio State.
or Oregon, and then okay, I guess you're right.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
they wouldn't
all right.
have. They would. I mean, let's say Oregon beats Washington. I mean, there's no way. There's not a chance in hell they're going to put 2 Pac-12 teams in there. If Oregon beats Washington, they're not going to put both of them in there. It's just not going to happen.
Especially
no
not
way.
if they play championship.
Not that conference. Not a conference that's dismantling either. That plays absolutely zero defense ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if Florida State loses, they're. I mean, that's kind of a mess for the committee too, because I don't know. If Florida State loses, then I feel like Ohio State would have to get in. I feel like that would be their best shot.
If Texas wins, though, I think they have Texas jump Ohio State because they're a conference champion. Because they love conference champions.
They actually played an extra game, so yeah, Texas would get in, and they beat Bama. So if Bama puts up a tough fight, that just builds Texas' resume up as well too. And it was on the road, Tuscaloosa.
If somehow it is though,
interesting.
Michigan, the Pac-12 team, and then Ohio State sneaks in, I'm claiming all 3 of those teams as Big Ten teams.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes.
We're gonna have 3 in the playoffs if that happens. That's what I'm claiming that.
Yeah. Well, I think all those games are played on in 2024 too. So you know, you can say,
nice.
hey, Big Ten teams in 2024. You know.
You can. Hey, that's how they're recruiting already. They already have the Big Ten patch on some of their jerseys. So
Yeah.
There's also a chance that Texas and Michigan meet up, a slight chance that Texas and Michigan meet up, and they play the opening game, I believe, next year as well.
Not the opening game, but in the first few weeks.
Okay.
Is it week 2?
I think it's week 2 or week 3.
Okay.
Nice.
Let me check real quick.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun game, especially with, I think Quinn Ewers said he's coming back, so seeing Quinn Ewers play.
Potentially.
Defense.
Yeah, and then what's Manning going to do is Will Johnson will still be there.
Sab will still be there. Moore will still be there. So it's going to be a good secondary for Michigan again.
That's the thing, too. Like, where does Manning? Does Manning stay in Texas then, or does he move on?
I feel like Murphy's more likely to move on than Manning. Malik Murphy, the backup there.
All right, let's start hour 2 of this podcast. Transfer portal time. Let's do it. Where's everybody going? Let's get our predictions in right now before anybody else does.
Cam Ward to Ohio State. Malik Murphy to Alabama.
Riley Leonard to Michigan.
I saw he had a crystal ball to Notre Dame.
Second game. Texas is in Ann Arbor.
Okay, second game.
And we got Fresno State week 1.
Who's week 1?
We have Fresno State. We actually got a really tough schedule next year. I know it's going to be hard to believe for some of you Sockeye fans, but we got a
Ohio State has a terrible schedule next year.
Yeah, but you guys do, so you guys can't talk anymore. But you guys do have, I believe, Texas also coming up in the future, Alabama coming up in the future, Georgia coming up in the future as well too. So you guys got a few challenging non-conference games as well too. We also have Oklahoma on the docket coming up eventually too in future schedules.
Yeah. No, we need an easy schedule swap with you guys so that way you guys can give it back to Ohio State after Ohio State gave it to you a ton this year.
Yeah.
So it just makes things right in the world when Ohio State fans can give it to Michigan and then Michigan gives it right back the next year.
It's just a trade.
Yeah.
It's a trade.
It's the rivalry. So.
Yep.
All right, let's finish this up, guys. Thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate you both. Jason, good luck in the Big Ten Championship. I'm sure I'll wash my mouth out with soap after this podcast since I said that, but well-deserved.
You do.
Good team. Definitely a playoff team. So thanks for coming on, guys. Like I said, please go check out Victor's Nation with Jason over there and Casual Big Ten with Kent. Both great podcasts. Enjoy listening to them. Have a great day, guys, and see y'all next time.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jar.